Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, the newest land of both Disneyland and Disney's Hollywood Studios, has been open for about 2 years now and has been very successful thus far. The theming is excellent, and through every shop, restaurant, and ride, you truly feel like you're on an alien planet and truly immersed into the Star Wars lore. And as far as lands go, there are a lot of things to do. With Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run and Rise of the Resistance, Oga's Cantina, Ronto Roasters, the Marketplace, Savi's Workshop, Joy Depot, and so many more, it seems as if there can't be much else that Galaxy's Edge could get. Literally, there's not much room left. But what did Walt say? Something about Disneyland would never be complete as long as there's imagination left in the world? Something like that. So that's what we're going to look at today. Not only are we going to check out some of the history of Galaxy's Edge, but we're also going to check out some of the unused concepts for attractions, dining experiences, and even specific areas within the Black Spire Outpost. So strap in everybody, grab your blue or green milk. We're about to go into a galaxy far, far away to uncover the unbuilt potential of Galaxy's Edge. So I guess before we talk about the unbuilt stuff, I guess we have to talk about the history of the land itself just to give a little bit of context. The idea of a Star Wars land went under development at Walt Disney Imagineering for about 6 years and went through a variety of different concepts. Initially, it was supposed to be based around Tatooine, the iconic home planet of Luke and Anakin Skywalker that played a large role in the original 6 chapters of the Star Wars story. However, Disney was currently developing a new trilogy of Star Wars films with all new characters and locations, and they wanted the new land to tie in more with the new stuff than the older films, despite how classic and recognizable they are. This left the Imagineers clueless as to how they were going to navigate creating this world because the films were still really early in development. I'm talking pre-production days. They eventually landed on a world outside of any of the ones featured in the film, what would later be known as the Black Spire Outpost on the planet Batuu. This allowed the Imagineers to be creative with their concepts because they didn't have to limit themselves with areas or experiences that are in whatever planet they wanted to choose from the films themselves. A few years down the road, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge was announced to the public at the 2015 D23 Expo, and everyone was anxiously awaiting to see what the Star Wars land would contain. By 2017, we got an opening date for both Disneyland and Hollywood Studios Batuu, and we also got the information that while it was something new, it would fit canonically into the story of Star Wars, taking place in between Episode 8, The Last Jedi, and Episode 9, which we now know as The Rise of Skywalker. Early concept art also showed a mountainous region with a lot of trees, which would work to fit into the climate in both California and Florida. Little by little, the public got to see more and more of the land with concept art, and Disney was increasing efforts to prepare around the parks for the land to open. Project Stardust was implemented at Disneyland, removing benches and generally widening queues and walking areas in order to prepare for the intense crowds that Disney predicted would show up to the park once the land opened. They even got John Williams to return and compose a new suite for the land, which you can very faintly hear in the background of this video. On May 31st, 2019, Galaxy's Edge opened at Disneyland in the area situated behind Frontierland, and on August 29th, 2019, the Hollywood Studios version opened behind Muppet Vision 3D and next to Toy Story Land. Both lands open with all the shops and dining locations we currently have today, as well as Smuggler's Run, and the flagship attraction, Rise of the Resistance, wouldn't open until December 5th, 2019 at Hollywood Studios, and January 17th, 2020 at Disneyland. But enough about that stuff, we already know that. What are the things that were never built from the land, the stuff we might not know about? And the truth is, there was a lot left out from the land when it opened, and some things that went pretty far along in the planning and development stages. The one obvious element that many fans, me included, wish would be implemented into the land are more droids and characters walking around. It would just make the land feel more whole. Maybe you'd see different recognizable droids like C-3PO or R2-D2 walking around, or even some different alien species that you recognize from the films. Or maybe stormtroopers would do a raid in Oga's Cantina and investigate. Either way, these interactions make Galaxy's Edge super special, and Disney did seek to achieve this, but they had to scrap it for a couple reasons. Aside from the health risks due to the current pandemic, they also thought the droids and characters would congest the land more than normal, which is totally understandable. Also, Disney hasn't completely worked out the kinks with self-driving characters yet, but that is something we could see in the future. This is definitely the largest complaint I've heard with Galaxy's Edge, and I think it is something that me, as well as many other fans, would like to see come to the land as soon as possible. On top of this, we were also supposed to get these action moments between some of the characters, such as Rey and Kylo Ren. Basically, these would be little stunt shows to add a little bit of action into the land, and I think the potential for this to become an amazing nighttime show is through the roof. But even if it's during the day, imagine if you just got some blue or green milk, aka the best Disney beverage, and saw Rey and Kylo duking it out with lightsabers or Chewie fighting some stormtroopers. That would cause me to definitely stop and look when normally I would usually pass by. Now, one thing you may notice about Galaxy's Edge compared to other lands of the Disney parks is that Batuu does not have a table service restaurant. Well, there was a concept for a table service restaurant planned in Galaxy's Edge called the Kalakori Club. The initial idea for this was to be a 2-story restaurant with a large fish tank in the lobby and themed dining area. When you went downstairs, you would encounter some Twilight singers along with a band similar to the one in the Mos Eisley Cantina in episode 4. It honestly reminds me of a Star Wars version of the Edison at Disney Springs, with the dining on the second level and a lounge area on the first floor with live entertainment. As you can see by the fact this was actually given a proper name, it went really far along in the development process. Many people are aware of this, however it still hasn't come to fruition yet. I think the demand for a hyper-immersive table service is there. I mean, Oga's Cantina is wildly popular, and I think that, with the same level of theming on a larger scale, it could be a huge hit. With a rumored expansion to the land coming in a few years, we may finally get this, or it may turn into one of the amenities in the Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel, which opens early next year. Now, it is no secret that Galaxy's Edge has a lot of shops already, but there were initially plans to add even more shops, and this ties me into my personal favorite unbuilt aspect of Galaxy's Edge. There were plans for a Makeover Shop, which I believe is a Star Wars version of Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, where you can get your hair and makeup done like a certain Star Wars character. Also in the marketplace, there were plans for a tailor shop, which we sort of got with Black Spire Outfitters, and a potter shop, which would be unique and a unique callback to the days of Main Street USA, which would have shops dedicated to merchandise outside the Disney parks. There was also supposed to be a fruit smoothie shop, which I would honestly take over Katsaka's Kettle any day of the week. However, to visit my favorite of these unbuilt shops, we must travel past the marketplace to the back of the land. Next to Oga's Cantina, there sits a door, which looks like it leads somewhere, but it's just a part of the theming. However, there was an idea for this door to lead to an explorer's shop. From the descriptions and concept art, it looks kind of like a more dangerous den of antiquities with merchandise and props haphazardly placed across the store, kind of like a pawn shop in space. I think it works as a shop for bounty hunters and ties us into this larger unbuilt area of Batuu called Smuggler's Alley. Now think about it. Near Rise of the Resistance we have, a resistance area, and the First Order occupies the back corner of the land past the milk stand. The only other faction represented within the land that doesn't have a specific area or even a specific shop are the Smugglers. The initial plan was to give them an area and call it Smuggler's Alley. Like the Explorer's Shop, Smuggler's Alley was supposed to be dark, a little more unsettling than the general area of the Black Spire Outpost. It was the shady alleyway which you wouldn't want to be caught in at night, except for me because this honestly sounds awesome. I just think it writes itself and would give something for the people who kind of exist in the middle, you know, not really Resistance, not really First Order either, just a little smugglery. Is that a word? No, not a word? Okay. Now, enough about shops, restaurants, all this stuff. What about the rides and attractions? And there are a few attractions that ended up getting scrapped before the initial opening. Now, concepts on these are mostly minimal, so just a warning, a lot of this will be theorizing. Our first two attractions take us back to the Smuggler's Alley concept. I really can't stay away from that. Originally, there were plans for a speeder bike attraction as well as a bounty hunter themed attraction to coincide with this area. These attractions were very similar, with the stories both centering around a high-speed chase through Batuu. The Bounty Hunter ride doesn't have a lot of information surrounding it, but it seems like it would be another interesting simulator, and possibly with the talks of Mandalorian coming to Batuu, this could eventually become a reality. As far as the speeder bike attraction goes, I feel like this would be similar to Flight of Passage due to the similar shaped ride vehicles, and let's be honest here, it's much easier to do a ride like this with screens rather than physical sets. On an officially released poster which depicts a map of Batuu, there is a little Surabot river valley that isn't really featured anywhere else in the land. That could be the setting for this speeder bike attraction. I'm either thinking that, or it's a ride more closely linked to Tron Light Cycle Run, with it being a fast roller coaster type ride with the similar ride vehicles. Either way, I think this would be a fun addition, not really a premier ride in the land, but nonetheless, I think it would still be very popular. Parkgoers are always looking for more thrilling attractions, so this could be that for Galaxy's Edge. But you want to know what isn't a thrilling attraction, yet it's actually really interesting? The Ely. What's an Ely? Well, I'm glad you asked. The Ely is the attraction that went the furthest in development, with vehicles being tested and really beginning development. The Ely is this large creature that would take guests on a relaxing ride across Galaxy's Edge, possibly with a tour guide a la People Mover. This would be a more relaxing ride than the other two options, and I think this one is really interesting to me personally. I just love how this blends in attraction with the walk around characters and adds that extra immersion, because the Ely would also react to people in the park. I'm just also a fan of slower rides as well as rides that are just transportation like the Skyline or the Railroad. God, I really miss our Railroad. I believe that this ride isn't a thing because of that congestion to the land like I mentioned before, similar to the droids, but I think this would be an awesome concept. And if you like creatures, the last Unbuilt attraction is right up your alley. So I've seen different sources call this attraction different things, but they look like the same attraction. Basically, this is a walkthrough menagerie of animatronic creatures from across the Star Wars universe. You'll be able to see Wampas, Porgs, even a life-size Rancor, which what I would give to see a full-size animatronic Rancor. I think this attraction is the least likely to happen because of the space and also money. I mean, a huge animatronic Rancor is probably not the cheapest thing in the world, and it would be cool for the superfans, but most guests don't seem to be attracted to walkthrough attractions, which is understandable. Maybe they could put the Rancor in the speeder bike ride, or maybe in the bounty hunter attraction like Yeti in Expedition Everest, as like a show-stopping scary monster to add thrill. Disney, come on, we need to talk. Anyways, that's all of the unbuilt things in Galaxy's Edge that I could find. I know they're kind of limited on space, but I think these all have the potential to be popular. I mean, anything Star Wars is popular in some capacity, right? What was your favorite of all these things? Maybe it's the Calicori Club, or maybe it's the Ely, or the entire Smuggler's Alley expansion. I know that one's my favorite. Let me know in the comments. I really love to talk about this stuff. Also, just curious, let me know which one's better to you, blue or green milk. There is no other answer other than both, which is acceptable. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and if you like Disney history and fact videos like this one, consider subscribing. It would really mean a lot. You guys are awesome, and I hope you have a great day or night whenever you're watching this. Till the Spire, everybody, and I will see you all next time.